turn your cell phones down on silent, please, and we'll all stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, item 1 is the approval of the minutes of June 17th, 2014. Second. Discussion. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
We have the discussion and approval of the claims.
Move it.
Second. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay. Human resources. We have the memorandum of personnel transactions. I'll pass around for signatures.
Move it.
Okay.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Ed, could you give us a little report on our progress with the security hiring applications, please?
Sure, I'd be glad to. We've had just an outstanding response to our posting for security officers, both on a part-time basis and both as a supervisor position. We've got 12 people that have applied for the supervisor position, but approximately 30 have applied for the part-time position, so one that we're going to do the pool from. We've got some really well-qualified people, some people with just excellent experience. They're the kind of person that we need to really lead this security detail. So I couldn't be happier with who we've seen for response.
Good, good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And it's closed, right?
Yes, we closed last night.
Thank you. Got item 4, which is a Simcoe, Sharon Burton.
The Woodbury County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan is now under review by FEMA, but they are not finished, so we need one more extension. They are reviewing it now, hopefully as we speak.
This just extends it through September.
Yep, through September.
Move it. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Want me to leave this?
Yeah, do we have to sign off on that, Jen?
Yeah, I need to get it to him here by the end of the month.
Okay. I'll take care of that for you.
Okay. Want me to wait, or?
I can do it right now, and then you can take it back with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Hurry up and get it back to FEMA so you can wait for them.
Yeah. It's just a 1 page.
There's 1 page and there's 2 of them.
Okay. Okay, you want to hand that back to him, Mark?
Thank you.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Next time I'll be bringing a plan.
Okay.
Thank you, Sharon.
No, it didn't. Item 5 is the approval of a cigarette and tobacco permit for Heritage Express at Sloan.
Move it.
Okay. Discussion? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, item 6 is the treasurer, Mike Layton. We have discussion and approval of resolution of interest rates for drainage warrants, unpaid and
Okay, we discussed this last week. We need a resolution to establish the interest rate on unpaid drainage warrants. I put together a real simple resolution. I ran it through Joshua. He okayed it, and with Mark and Dennis, we kind of came to consensus that 5% rate would be a good figure to go with. Also, we added on there, this is for fiscal year 2015, because I think it really needs to be looked at least on an annual basis. The state can change their maximum rate. Should be notified of that, but who knows whether that really happens or not. So we'll look at least on an annual basis and do a new resolution on that. So
Now, is this for all drainage districts, Mike, or just for?
This would be anything that you're trustee over.
Okay, all right.
So, and that would, what it amounts to is if a drainage district does not have adequate funds to pay their bills, then when the warrant's not paid, the holder of that warrant can gain a 5% interest rate until such time as it's paid, so.
Okay.
Be received for signature.
Second? Second. There is a second. Any further discussion?
That's, probably needs to be signed by all supervisors.
All supervisors. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
I'll pass that around for signatures. Item 7 is discussion of the consideration of development project, I guess extension for 240s. Mark?
2 weeks ago, I brought in a rough plan and a project estimate for widening the current Andrew Avenue, which is a dead-end road east of Allison at this point in time. It runs from 235th down to a point where it hits on the northeasterly corner of some of CF Industries' property. And then extending that Andrew Avenue over to where it intersects Allison, roughly in alignment with 240th Street. I had prepared an estimate that came in around $920,000. That estimate took into account everything. At this point in time, the amount of right-of-way we'd actually need is unknown. Basically, we were building a road that would be designed for truck hauling. Heavy aggregate base and wearing course on it, a 36-foot wide earthen top to a 32-foot wide driving top and shoulder.
Now, this would be larger than any of our other, in width anyway.
Right, our current roads out there, we just, we have added about a foot of width to all of them, and really that's to provide some additional lateral support. It's really not riding surface out there. We've had our operator out there with a dozer trying to improve those slopes and help confine some of those areas that continually are shoving on us. But our current roads are 26 to 28 foot wide out there, except in the areas where we have the pullouts, and then we're up to 34 feet wide in those pullout areas. But again, those are very isolated as you head down the road. We are looking at improving Allison from 240th Street south. CF Industries owns all the property on the east side of the road. They own roughly half of the length of the west side of the road, and then the balance we could culvert and put in risers to assure drainage. We could improve that road very economically and get the same 36-foot top. That was part of our plan anyway, because that's the portion of the road that has absolutely no alternative. From 240th south, we have no other way to get into the plant. Whether we build this 240th Street and Andrew improvement, or if we don't. Right now, the traffic in an emergency can take 235th Street all the way around to 240th, past the mile-long island access, and come back in, but then they're still right back on that portion that we're intending to improve this summer. We've held off on doing a lot more other than dust treatment and gravel maintenance out there, pending what the board's decision is on this improvement project. But getting back, we were looking at roughly $920,000. CF has indicated that they would donate us the right-of-way that crosses their portion of the property. And, but we would have to get work on this very quickly to have it done so it's ready late this fall. I guess that's one of the reasons I spoke with Chairman Boykin and suggested we get on the agenda today and see how the board feels about making this improvement. I see them getting probably close to your set.
Well, 15, time, but that's we got a few minutes. Larry?
Is this, the necessity for this road, is it, does it equate to the dollars we're talking about?
That's probably the question. Larry, that's the million dollar
That's,
And the length of time, that's the.
yeah, they're planning to be open in roughly mid-year 2016. So we're looking at heavy use on this road for 15 to 18 months upon its completion and construction. So it's a substantial investment for about a year and a half of use. It's hard for me to get away from that, but it does provide some redundancy in that area for Allison. Allison Avenue right now from 235th South is our primary way in and out. This would involve no out-of-distance travel for all the material that's going in there. The plant is far from built at this point in time. There's a significant amount of material that's going to be going in from that north end. Our employment hasn't peaked also either. Last I heard, we were looking about 510 employees out there currently. The number of employees is anticipated to grow to over 2,000 as we get into October, November, about the time where we could bring this on. Just looking at it from a transportation status, it's a difficult project for me to get behind, Larry, because my plan had been to continue to improve 235th Allison and 225th. Like I said, we've held off on doing any additional sub-base treatments until we know whether or not we're going to spend money in this other area. I am looking at a couple of other items to strengthen and stiffen that sub-base on the existing roads. But if we're not going to be using Allison north of 235th and 225th for anything other than staff access, we can continue to maintain that for a lot less money with just lighting and dust control as needed.
What would be the cost on beefing up the road?
That still has to be determined. There's a couple of products, they're polymers that can be used. They get mixed into that top 15 inches of soil and gravel. They've been used in haul roads all over the country. We could maybe then look at putting on a more durable dust treatment, a seal coat actually, instead of a calcium chloride, something that isn't subject to being washed away with the storms that we have, something that'll shed water better.
Mark, I'm gonna cut you off. It's
Okay.
a quarter after. Don't get you back up here though, as soon as we get through with the sale of properties and also number 9s. But I'll give that
Very good.
This warrants more discussion. We have on item 8, a public hearing and sale of property on partial 350745 located at 205 Paxton Street. Is there anyone here to speak for or against the sale of this property? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move it.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Is there anyone in the audience to purchase or bid on this piece of property? Yes, sir. Give your name, please, and the amount of money that you're going to bid.
William Leverton,
Okay,
and amount is $393.
$393. Okay. Is there anyone else to bid on this piece of property?
Mr. Chairman, hearing no one, I'm going to move the property be sold to Mr. Leverton for $393, and that includes cost of service.
Okay.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, Mr. Leverton, you just bought a piece of property. Item B is approval of a resolution for a partial sale, also at 005430.
Mr. Chairman, I move the hearing date be set for July 8th at 10:15.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Also approval for a notice of property sales of 077970.
Move to set the public hearing July 8th at 10:17.
Second.
Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Mark, have you back. Jackie, did he answer your question?
Well,
I
Kind
can't
of.
give you a price yet, Jack.
okay, that I do, I was just trying to figure out.
We're finding something that would not exceed $100,000 in base preparation. That with some additional granular material, it should be well within the money that we've already set aside. We would need to do some of that work on 235th up to either Andrew or Allison, depending on which way is going to be our primary haul route. It's one of the reasons that I haven't gotten real excited about pursuing it yet, once this discussion started on the potential of another roadway. But I'm quite confident from the reading I've done on this material, it would be quite a bit less than 100,000.
Other concerns, questions?
I'm concerned that we are not looking forward with all this. There's only a fourth of the workforce going in there at this point, and it's pretty messy out there. Take that times 4. I don't see the 240th extension doing a whole lot for Allison. I think Allison is still going to be heavily traveled. I think the whole thing is going to be traveled, and if there's, for some reason, they got to get out of there, the more access we have to get out, the better.
I think once the employment really gets on moving, I mean, they'll scurry like a covey of quail as soon as they hit the county roads. Some will go 240th, some will go 235th, some will go up to 225th. I mean, we'll see them using the route that gets them home the quickest. But we would be able to work with Performance Contracting and CF Industries to assure that the heavy loads are going past whichever haul road route we select. We've already had great cooperation on that, whether it's Everest hauling in aggregate, ready mix companies. You know, they're all cycling the roads in the way that helps us out the most. With overnight notice, they are adjusting their haul roads as we need them to, so that we can do road work on the occasions where we're doing it. We did get out and start blading it yesterday. We retreated.
Blading what?
Reblading the current haul roads.
Okay.
We did 225th and Allison between 225th and 235th yesterday. We're working on Allison from 235th south today. Tomorrow we'll be on 235th Street again. So we had some spots where it was getting a bit rough. I had planned to do it at the end of the week so I could pull up extra staff members. As you all know, we're fighting flooding right now. But the condition of the road after all that rain, with the number of people using it, really tore it up at the end of last week. So we had to move in more quickly than anticipated. We're utilizing Mark's distribution staff to haul water instead of one of our own staff members hauling water in our truck. And we don't have a roller operator out there right now. We've got a one-man operation, but he's doing a good job of getting the road shaped up.
Well, this new road would offer some redundancy, though, under those same kinds of circumstances, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't bring the plant into jeopardy as far as something really going wrong with one of those roads and having to shut down materials and employees getting in and out if we had this road in use at this point.
In the case of, let's say, a storm evacuation or something, it would allow us to get people out of there more quickly. I mean, at that point in time, the roads could be, somebody directing traffic could send some 240th and then the rest out Allison. It would tend to speed up traffic in the case of a storm evacuation or something. And that is a plus. Of course, you know, we can build a road anywhere the board tells us to, and this really comes down to a policy decision for you folks. The road provides redundant capacity in the area. I don't know how much of the area that's within this could develop. You know, basically we would encase 320 acres surrounded by pretty good roads that would be a potential for somebody to develop someday. Right now it's a farm zone, general industrial, and Mr. Jolin's property. I mean, we would have that boxed with this additional protocol.
Okay, Larry?
Denny, we talked earlier about, if we did this, how to fund it.
Okay.
And why don't you explain general purpose funds?
Okay, we had three different options. One was to use local option sales tax funds, which would basically chew up all the local option sales tax funds we have, including part of what Mark said might be available on our allocation for next year. Second option would have been possibly tipping, which was in the 2-mile limit of Sioux City, and we'd have to negotiate with the city, but the time frame does not allow really to use TIF because TIF does take 2 or 3 months, and this project has to get started. We're gonna do it right pretty dang soon. The other issue is general essential purpose bonds. That'd be just like we know for our essential purpose now, we can go up to 1.2 million per project. So we could have one project, we could have 10. They can't be in phases, like we talked about with the jail facility, but we'd be limited to that. That does not require a referendum. Essential purpose does not. Interest rates are really low right now. They're lowest they've been in years. And if we do the project, we recommend to use general obligation bonds, which again is countywide. But what CF is doing, and Hard Rock 2 is gonna do, is increase our sales tax dramatically, not only this year a little bit, next year and years on. So there is a benefit to helping out where we can help, but this would probably be the route to go if the board so chooses to do this road, do essential purpose bond. That way we can get it going right away, because I work with Mike, our county treasurer, and our bonding attorney, and it can get done rather quickly.
And if I could add one of the little bits of trivia, when you look at our county valuation, 40% of the rural property tax valuation that supports the road department is concentrated in this area of Port Neal. And yet we only have 16 of our 1,346 miles roughly that are servicing that area. So if you do something like general obligation bonds, this area is already, and I'm talking about New Lex, the Neal stations, all of those properties down there are contributing heavily to maintaining the road system countywide. I dread this area for the possibility of annexation because we would find our county rural valuation going down drastically.
We dread it too, Mark.
And
You're
CF is
absolutely
only
right.
going to increase that.
Absolutely, because we're talking about $1.7 billion on their part alone development.
Right now, our total county valuation is $999 million.
This was a request of CF, is that correct?
It was a suggestion from CF that, they've had concerns about our older roads, again, our staff has worked hard, they've not lost a single day being able to haul in there. We've made the improvements necessary to keep that open and operational. What they're seeking is a road that's more like what they've got now, once you hit their property line, which is a road that's built and designed for trucks. And we're dealing with roads that are over 100 years old on a 66-foot right-of-way. We're pushing them to the limit, and we're having to work extra hard to keep
Yeah,
them.
this would relieve a part of that. Another relief too would be, there's virtually no residents along this area that you're talking about.
There is one house, and it's currently for sale.
Yeah, so it would take the pressure off some of the local residents down there where the trucks are going by their places on a fairly regular basis.
Yesterday, while I was out there, I counted a dozen ready-mix trucks, along with at least 4 trucks that were hauling heavy equipment in to be used for construction.
So there is some benefit.
How long were you out there?
I was out there for a half an hour.
Yeah, just in a half
We
hour.
were setting up a ditch cleaning job, so.
That's a lot of
I
traffic.
don't think we should get the hopes up of those few people that have homes out there, because when 2,000 people start showing up, even with 240th,
Right.
I'm not sure it's gonna get a whole lot better.
No.
The only thing that we can really control, and again, this is working with Performance and CF, is the use of that new road for the ready-mix trucks, the aggregate trucks, and the heavy loads coming in.
Would be a lot less shaking of the dishes.
Yeah, beyond that, it's a free-for-all. And it's a lot of vehicles that are gonna be going in and out once they get fully ramped up.
You sound like you want to do it, then you sound like you don't want to do it.
I see pluses, advantages to this road. Once we get past CF though, Dave, honestly, it's a road I don't see us having a lot of use for unless additional development occurs down there.
Great.
You know, we have a closed loop here. We have 320 acres that will have more potential, I think, for development because it's completely bounded by roads. And one of those roads will be a truck road, but I don't see it as having heavy use afterwards. I don't, especially with the flood damage that we're going to be repairing, there's no way I can reorganize money within my budget to fix this. And when you hear me say I'm concerned about it, a lot of my concern comes from my initial look to fund anything on the roads is that it's coming out of my budget. Even a portion right now, I don't think I can fund with the level of damages.
And we wouldn't expect you to do that either.
No.
But again, this really comes down to a policy decision from you folks. It's hard for me to endorse this project because, you know, I feel for less money we could invest into the roads, improve the subbase, and keep them getting in and out. It's very hard for me to jump up and say we need this road. We needed the road going into the plant.
Yeah.
This one is harder for me to find from looking at it from a transportation perspective. It's harder for me to look at this.
When we started this project or CF, we probably should have thought about that road then.
Well, our initial thought was we would have had the plant road built last year. When we applied for the RISE grant, we were looking at building that road and having it serve construction. It's one of the reasons we delayed paving. We were figuring heavy aggregate road going in and building a plant. When they moved in on us in August and looked at starting construction, they had a little different plan at that point in time. Had we anticipated that they were looking at having roads coming in from both ways or using those gravels, we could have maybe put it into the RISE grant. But that wasn't even thought of at that time.
Well, it was unanticipated, so.
I mean, we've worked
but
to
anyway,
cooperate
yeah.
with a very important business that's brought a lot of work to us. And again, this is one of those roads where it's a cooperative effort. But again, it's not a road that is county engineer that I can say we have a need for. It is a road that does provide redundancy in the system down there. It has the potential to provide a more reliable truck route. It has the potential to open up development of that 320 acres on one side, and it also would make Jolin's property on the east side of the road more valuable because you would still have that good truck road on Andrew where you'd open up not only the 320 bounded by Allison and Andrew, but you'd have the potential for the other. I'm trying to find the good things with it, but you know, like I said, on the other hand, it's harder for me to endorse this project as a necessity.
Okay.
Thank you.
We've got another time set. Are we gonna take action on this today?
We put it in there so that you could.
Yeah, so
I hate spending the money, but I think it's probably well worth it. I move that we do the 240th Street at Andrew project and fund it through general purpose funds,
Second.
Essential purpose.
essential purpose.
I think that'd be the best way of funding rather than impossible through TIF and local options. What's this? Any other discussion?
Jim Marshall.
Yes. Thank you. Jim Marshall. I just have some concerns of spending that much money. There's no sharing of the cost with anybody, the government, CF Industries. And for a short-term fix, which you said it was, and the use in 2 years wouldn't be used again, I just can't see us spending that much money right now. If there was further development down there beyond CF Industries, then I think maybe you could look at it. Because then you could look at the tax base, and the revenue coming back might offset the majority of the cost. But I personally, as a taxpayer in Woodbury County, I can't, I agree with you. I can't see it right now.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
You gotta remember that we're gonna have about 1,500 cars down there. If we don't do something, to help get them out of there, them 1,500 cars is not gonna get out of that parking lot. And we can't depend on one road. We gotta have a couple roads, at least, to get that much traffic out there. I mean, you can, 2,000 cars, a lot of cars.
Okay, sir, would you give your name so we know who you're talking to?
Pardon?
Would you give your name so we know who you
Oh, Dale Patton.
Okay, Dale.
I live on Allison Avenue.
Okay.
Well, we-
George, you're gonna have to continue this discussion.
Yeah, Dale, before, I'll get right back to you. I've got a time set area that we have to do some bids on cameras. I'm really anxious to get to that one. And I'll have you right back up to the microphone, okay, Dale? Let's go to item number 9, which is the opening of the bids for additional cameras for the Law Enforcement Center. Regina, you want to take control of that? How many bids do we have? We have 6 bids.
We got bid sheets.
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, we have bid sheets here. I think I have them all up
Would
here.
you, Karen, would you be able to help me open?
We got them on this side.
Do you?
Comfortable with that duty, or do you have another duty to fulfill? Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, you can stand
Okay,
right
great.
close to the
Right
microphone.
there is good?
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
all right. Speak up. Well, you're asking for things that I don't know are possible.
I know.
Okay, all right. Thank you for being here, everybody. We're really excited to open these bids. We've been waiting a long time, as you know. And so what we're going to do is we're going to systematically open them. We're going to read them aloud, record them on a piece of paper. And then what I would ask is that you would give us some time to evaluate the information, and that we would like to come back next week with our recommendation. So
Okay.
that's what I would ask from you today, is to
We will do
approve
that,
that.
Regina.
Okay.
Certainly.
All right, the first proposal I have here is from ISI Security.
Are you just going to give us the total number, or are you going to go right through the?
I think I'm just going to go right through the sheet. Does everybody have a sheet
Yeah,
here?
you got
Okay.
B1, B2, 3, 4, 5, all that.
Okay, and I do have it accompanied by bid security for ISI. We have for option A a total of $127,043 even. And we have an estimate of 45 man-hours. For option B, this, first of all, I'll give you the total, and then I'll break it down for you. So the total for option B is $117,760. And the estimate of man-hours is 65 hours. The breakdown for B1 is 71,457. B2, 29,850. B3, 1,953. B5, 500. The total for both options, item C, is $227,947. They do acknowledge addendum G1. And at this time, I don't see alternate proposal. Our next envelope is for Permar Security. Thank you. I do not show the bid security, but I will verify that, so I'm going to put a mark of verify bid security. Okay, under option A, the total is $183,641.92 with an estimate of 100 man-hours. Option B, the total is $136,867.14 with an estimate of 400 man-hours. Breakdown B1, $72,867.14. B2, $31,250 even. B3, $16,250 even. B5, $2,500 even. The total for both options, item C, is $325,509.06. And there's no acknowledgement for addenda G1. And I do not see an alternate bid. Just for clarification, alternate bids are not required, but they're at the bidder's option if they'd like to provide an alternate. Okay, this bid is from Electric Innovations. The total for option A is $118,849.11. The estimate of man-hours is 80 hours. The total for option B is $134,675.11. The estimate of man-hours is 142 hours. The breakdown of B for B.1, $87,624.11. B2, $17,112 even. B3, $15,939 even. And B5 included. No amount given.
B5 is what?
It states included in labor. So there's no additional number given for B5. Okay, and then item C, the total for both, $258,524.22. There is the acknowledgement of addendum G1. And there are alternate proposals given. Our next bid is from ECI Systems. It is a company with bid security. Is that me or? Okay.
That's me.
Okay. Okay. We have a tape emergency. I think we're okay. I can still read the numbers. Okay, so option A, the total for option A for ECI is $100,796.98. The estimated man-hours is 40 hours. Option B, the total for option B is $80,020.10. The estimated man-hours is 239 hours. The breakdown for B.1, $42,138.17. B2, $8,775 even. B3, $12,106.93. B5, $3,000 even. The total for both, item C, $185,817.08. This proposal acknowledges addendum G1. And I do not see evidence of an alternate proposal. Our next bid is from Midwest Alarm. Total for option A, one moment please. Total for option A, $156,766.60. Estimated man hours 423 hours. Option B, total $159,614.66. Estimated man hours 723. Breakdown of B.1, $62,704.66. B2, $51,995 even. B3, $5,915 even. B5, $25,000 even. Total for both, $321,381.26. And recognition of G1. I do not see any alternate bids. Our final envelope is for accurate controls. Is accompanied with bid security. Option A total, $136,331 even. Estimated man hours 240. Total for option B, $100,080 even. The breakdown for B.1, $57,525 even. B2, $13,640 even. B3, $13,915 even. B5, $1,000 even. Total for both. I'm sorry, I forgot to read the man-hour estimate for the total for B, so please go back. That is 280 hours estimated. Okay, now total for C, both, 241,411 even. And there is an acknowledgement of addendum G1. I do not see an alternate proposal.
there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Just a moment. Dennis?
We got X number of dollars for this project. When she figures out what's acceptable, on these bids here, if you trim this down, which obviously it's gotta be trimmed down, but we don't have enough money, does that affect this overall bidding process at all? Can they say do 80%, at 80% of whatever these bids are? Does that work? Because I wonder what the alternative means.
Would you like me to address
Yes,
that
address
question?
that, would you please, Regina?
Okay, so the reason that this is broken down into option A, option B with breakdowns is because we recognize that there is a limited amount of funds available for this. And what this allowed the county to do is say we have this amount of funds, and so we can do A within that, or we can do B within that. It does not require that the county select both options. But in order that the county had the most variety to choose from, we wanted to make sure that we included both option A and B for your review.
So that gives us a lot of flexibility as far as accepting what's going to go in on whatever evaluation you come back on
Yeah.
a bid. That's as far as what we need in those cameras.
We tried to write the request for proposals in that manner so that you would be able to remain under budget.
Dennis?
Just one last question. Is the board making a determination on what cameras go in, or is the board giving the sheriff's office flexibility to determine in RML what cameras are necessary or not necessary? Who makes that determination?
I think that goes back to the committee.
Okay. So does she have to report back to the committee then with the recommendation and come back to the board?
We've actually had that conversation, I believe, but we probably need to have it again.
We could certainly go through that process of next week going to the committee.
It would sound to me, once you do your evaluations on these bids, then it would go back to your committee also to determine what's going to work, particularly in the jail, before you bring that recommendation back to us.
That would be no trouble. In fact, if that's the case, then I would hold off putting us on the agenda for next week, simply
Right.
so that we have time to organize
I
that.
think this is a two-week project as far as I'm concerned. Dennis, did you have another concern?
No,
Okay.
that's it. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
When this first began, I don't think anyone explained the scope, like how many cameras we're talking about.
Explain, what kind of cameras?
The scope, how many cameras, what this entails.
Okay, I think we did talk about, the scope, the number of cameras and whatever, but we can go over it again. I think that we started out with, I don't know, we had
Initially,
30-some cameras over there, and we're going to double the amount.
initially we were trying to look at areas that were high in liability, areas
Right.
that were very dangerous, areas that needed to be surveilled. And
There.
it became evident that the budget would not allow to reach all of our goals. So the goals had to be adjusted. So the current bids represent increasing storage from 30 days to 2 years of camera footage. And also option B includes adding 25 additional cameras in the highest of liability areas, the holding and the temporary holding and booking areas.
So item B really is a priority as far as adding those cameras in those highest liability areas, as you say.
To be honest, they're both very needed items. As you're probably aware, the county can receive litigation up to 2 years after an event.
Right.
And so that is the purpose behind the increase in storage, to make sure that the county has information available.
Yeah, we did talk about storage a number of times.
Yep. And also too, there is the philosophy that the more you can see, the more that protects you. And so option B, of course, would be very desirable as well, as far as the county's needs and interests.
Okay, all right. Any other concerns, questions relative to the recommendation?
How much money is left?
Would you like me to address that?
150 to 170,000. We're gonna review it again to make sure, but
Yeah.
I know there's enough to cover all
calls.
Yeah, so we've gotta be within that figure. Okay. All right. Any other comments? Okay. Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you for your time today.
Good
I
job.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
For public record, I do have the bid security with me.
Oh, you do? Okay, good. Good. Okay, let's go back to item number 7. Mr. Patton, you had one other comment. You were up. You can go ahead and make that comment now. I said I would come back to you.
Yeah, Dale Patton, I live on Allison Avenue. And what I'm thinking about is, you got 1,500 to 2,000 cars thereabouts. If you don't put this road in, how are you gonna get them out of the parking lot? I mean, he says this road is only, gonna be used just for this purpose only. Well, CF is gonna do a turnaround in 3 to 4 years. They're telling us it's gonna be approximately 600 people, that means 600 cars. And they're gonna be bringing in heavy equipment then. And Market's gonna build a road, my understanding, to handle these trucks. And so during these turnarounds, this road can be used to bring in, because I'm sure turnaround, they're gonna be bringing in heavy equipment, more equipment. It can be used for that. And road will hold up. If you don't build it, they're gonna be, again, coming down the roads they are now, and here again, 3, 4 years from now, we're gonna have the same problem. So, and another thing is that 2,000 people, whatever figure you wanna use, they got a mile, approximately a mile, from the CF plant to where it divides, to get rid of these people. I mean, 1,500 people in the morning, 1,500 people at night. This ain't just a sports one-time thing. This is going on, Mark says, I say 2 years, that they're gonna be under construction. So, I guess that's my opinion.
Okay, I appreciate your opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patton. Any other comments? We have a motion on the floor. Do you have any additional comments, Mark?
You know, I guess, I don't know if I gave Dave a satisfactory answer to his question, but, you know, basically this is, I'm not recommending the project as a transportation necessity. This comes down to, really, I'm not saying it's a bad project, but it's one that really is a decision of the Board of Supervisors as to whether we should put in this redundant service and spend a significant amount of money.
Well, I think, you know, the project, we've talked about it a lot. We've met with Mark, with the plant manager down there a couple of times on this particular subject and some other ones. And I think it holds more pros than cons, to be honest with you. And I think that we look at the future development down there, particularly with CF and some of the other entities down there. That road is going to be needed for that kind of growth and expansion. And we also have to take into account, I mean, the current residents down there. Mr. Patton makes a good point about getting in 1,500 employees. You know, you and I, we've been down there, and Mr. Clausen and all of us, we need to do a tour down there. But you look at that parking lot with the number of empty spaces in there right now, and you get 1,500 or more employees coming out of there at a specific time. I can see that whole area bottlenecking down there. And so to me, the more outlets you have, the better off you're going to be. Particularly if we've got a road that you can build that's going to withstand the kind of heavy industrial equipment that's going to be coming in on that particular road. You talk about, you know, those roads are 100 years old. They weren't built, you know, for you know, the tonnage that we currently have going in and out of them. They were built for lighter tractors, for lighter combines, that kind of thing, with fewer intense traffic on it. This is going to be constant down there. So I think that there's more pros to this than cons. So I think it's money going to be well spent.
We're painted in the proverbial corner because we can't shut any of them down at this point to improve them either.
No, you can't.
I mean, it's not like we can buy
That is right.
20 feet of right way on both sides of the existing.
That is right.
roads.
So I really
We
think,
can't take them down.
yeah, I really think that this is going to be a good investment for the county and the people down there. Any other comments? Those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Same
Aye.
sign. Got one opposed, Mr. Tripp. Yes.
Now, I assume the funding mechanism would be, I don't know if I should probably say something else would be funded, but if we do essential purpose bond.
That was part of the motion.
That was part of the motion. Yes, it was.
Okay. In that issue there, I assume we're bidding this out or.
Yes, it'll have to be
So
bid.
we're gonna wait and get, we can start the process for the loan.
Mhm.
Mike here, we're bond attorneys. We start the process, we'll stick the actual dollar amount in after the bids come back. So we just won't go out and borrow X number now, we'll wait till the bids come back.
Right, good idea.
Where we are at is the survey is done, we're ready to start the planning stage. We'll have the right of way deeds shortly. We'll send that out to be platted. We will likely bring on a consultant to do the right of way acquisitions for us so that we can speed this process. Our staff is pressed even more hard now than we were when we started talking about this a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Gary's gonna give you an update here later on the flood, so.
All right, thank you, Mark. Item number 10 is a hearing of any individual wishing to make a presentation on an item not on the agenda. Yes, sir. Give your name, please.
My name is Jim Gangler. I live at 4105 Country Club Boulevard. And I had passed on the information regarding the minimum bid of $5,000 at 1915 Iowa to neighbors and interested parties that are in the business of rehabbing distressed property, but none expressed interest at that price to me. And I wondered afterwards, if nobody had been willing to pay the property taxes, anybody could have acquired that property through a tax deed simply by showing up at the annual tax auction and paying unpaid taxes. And frankly, I was not optimistic about saving that property at that minimum bid. And I wondered, I was coming here today hoping that I was wrong, that somebody did show up and that property was able to be sold and put back in the tax rolls, and it was not. And so my question is, if nobody was willing to acquire the property through the tax auction process and through an eventual foreclosure of a tax certificate, then I wondered what made you think that property would sell for a $5,000 minimum bid, and why didn't we as a county simply offer it to anybody who was willing to pay anything for that property, and then improve it and increase the assessed value of it? As a real estate broker that marketed a lot of those Bayview properties that were acquired from Dwayne Meyer through foreclosure, I can tell you many of them were sold for $1. And Bayview attempted to donate 8 historic mansions to the Habitat for Humanity. And the Habitat declined that offer. I just wondered what made you think that anybody would pay.
Well, we thought someone would do it, but obviously it didn't happen, Jim, and obviously, no one stepped forward on a tax sale and wanted to pick the property up either. In fact, what we'll do too is reevaluate that property and others that we have in similar circumstances, and we may put a lower number on that particular property and see if there's any interest then.
If the city of Sioux City did not already let the contracts for demolition of that property, can I get back to them and advise them that the Board of Supervisors will be willing to sell that property to anybody who's willing to offer anything over $1?
Property are we talking about?
I think it's located at
1915 Iowa
Street.
It's a structurally sound building.
It's a big old house. I've looked at it. I mean, a few windows are knocked out of it, whatever. It looks like it. I don't know if
It needs a
structurally
little
sound,
maintenance.
yeah, but it
Structurally,
needs a
it's-
lot of maintenance.
Yeah,
Jim.
but it's structurally, it's got good bones, it's got good feet under it, and it's a large lot. And it's just gonna, without, it's just gonna be one more vacant, unkempt, never mowed piece of property that nobody will pay taxes on, and it's just a burden to the city's maintenance staff, and it's a permanent loss to the tax.
Well, Jim, you get back with the city and see if you can have them put a hold on demolishing the place.
I've been trying, and I did that last
Okay, and
October at the
if
demolition
they
hearing.
will, then we'll put another price on that piece of property. If you want to buy it and rehabilitate it, then for less than the 5,000, then
So-
we're willing to get back on the tax roll.
Okay, so if I was willing to offer you $1 today for it.
I don't think we want $1.
No, it's gotta go to auction.
Right, go to,
Yeah,
I would set an auction, but I had several parties that have showed up at an auction, but all of those parties realized that their rehab cost might approach or exceed the value of the property, and therefore the $5,000 minimum bid was simply not a workable figure for anybody. And my guess is that by now, the city was under the impression that the county would begin their 90-day process last March, and that didn't happen. But this was last October when this was going on. After a while, you have to understand that the patience of the city leaders runs out, and they just want it demolished. And the other concern that I had was regarding, and I'm hoping that this just simply can't be factual, but I understand that the supervisors voted and approved a courthouse security measure and approved a budget, and the sheriff's budget to secure the courthouse was within, what was expected of them, and then all of a sudden out of the blue, this is where I'm having trouble believing this. So I just wanted to hear it straight from you guys, was that it said one of the supervisors pulls out a plan not on the agenda and suggests the board strip the sheriff of its powers and hire its own security under human resources, which will not be armed and which cannot arrest. Is that
No,
true?
that's not true, Jim.
I was hoping you could shed some light on that.
Well, the fact is that the board did make a decision a few weeks ago to go with our plan of securing the courthouse and not going with the sheriff. And also in our plan, we've got you just heard a report from our HR person. We have gotten more than 30-some applicants already.
Right.
For the position, and they will be armed. They will have the authority to detain. So everything is in place.
And these will be qualified.
They
know how to use a gun.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. If you look at the job description, they have to be certified to carry a weapon. They're former law enforcement folks, that same people that the sheriff might have hired himself.
And I was curious, how much did the county save by implementing this plan as opposed to the previous plan that utilized the sheriff's department?
Originally, we looked at it, and we will save somewhere between $60,000 and $70,000 if we do it the right way.
$60,000 to $70,000 a year? Okay, thank you.
Well, anyone else? Gary, would you give us a little update on the flooding situation out there, please?
Yeah, as you know, countywide, we've been under siege sort of from severe weather and flooding for the last week and a half. We've had every tributary in Woodbury County has, I think, reached or exceeded its flood stage. Some have been out of its banks. Protective measures have been taken in some areas. We've had numerous roads closed over the last week. I will tell you that our incident management team through the emergency management at the Security Institute has functioned flawlessly. All the planning and preparation we put in place, and that team is made up of a number of people, but it's led by Jim Clark from Sioux City Fire Department and I, along with two Sioux City police officers, Mark Patrick and Nick Loeffler, two sheriff's deputies, Tony Winger and Charlie Hertz, and Jeff Hansen from Community Development. We meet every week as a team. Back in 2010, we initiated some exercises involving the tributaries of the tri-state area, where we had significant rains that brought all those tributaries to flood stage, and it's kind of, we went through that exercise in reality in the last week or so. I will tell you that the incident command system in NIMS is what we use. So we have an organizational structure. It worked well, and it works well every time we use it. Countywide, we're at about $2.4 million right now in damages, and that includes debris removal, protective measures, and infrastructure that's been damaged by high water. That's an early assessment. We expect that number, that's a conservative number. We expect it to increase as the water goes down and as the staff has time to get out and take a better look. We are under a disaster proclamation. I asked Mr. Boykin last week to sign that. That sets in motion the governor declaring Woodbury County, and the governor has asked FEMA to come in and do a preliminary damage assessment. We had our first damage assessment meeting yesterday with the state of Iowa, which is a precursor, and it's kind of required in order to get FEMA in here for a preliminary damage assessment. Right now, all of the assistance that we're considering is towards the infrastructure, debris removal, and protective measures. We're assessing continuously the individual homeowner's status, and we're working each of those cases. Our community organizations active in disaster is very involved in this. Our COAD, which is made up of a whole host of different agencies, Red Cross, Salvation Army, the churches, the mental health community, they're all engaging in this thing. We're trying to get an assessment of what some of the unmet needs are to try to meet those if we have them. I think the cooperation level has been just what we've always come to expect in this community. The spirit of Siouxland, I can tell you, is alive and well all throughout the region. When somebody needed help, there was plenty of people and plenty of resources to meet those needs. I think we were, unfortunately for our neighbors, they received a lot of the brunt of the severe weather, the tornadoes. Our neighbors to the north got a lot worse flooding than we did. A lot of credit goes back to our past leadership of this community. I had the opportunity yesterday to talk to Skip Meisner from Simcoe. I actually called him up and said, hey, just wanted you to know thanks for the flood control structures. They made our job a lot easier. So those past, and some of you folks have been involved in some of those decisions along the way to put these processes and these protected structures in place that have really saved significantly this community from receiving a lot of damage. So very proud of the spirit of Siouxland and the way this community always pitches in and helps each other and work together as a team. And I'll yield to Mark, and he can talk a little bit about his transportation system.
Right now, we're estimating damage to the road system conservatively at about $2 million. We have two bridges that are, one's completely destroyed, the other is standing, but probably not salvageable.
Where's the one that's completely destroyed, Mark?
That's down on Morgan Trail Road. It would be northeast of Odo.
Okay.
Morgan Trail runs all the way from County Road D50 down to County Road D54, just on the west side of Odo. It has no crossroads, so it serves a great deal of land along there in the Little Sioux River bottom. This road is one that's subject to some of the abuses of the Little Sioux River, in that stream's heavily meandering. It's threatening to cut that road off in a couple of places, so that bridge will be an essential one to replace. We haven't even had a chance to really do more than just identify it, close it, and make sure people are protected out there. The other one is on Haskell Avenue, north of Mobile. Haskell is that little 3/4 mile long cutoff. Highway 140 goes north out of Mobile and bends to the northeast to the point it bends. Haskell Avenue is that short road that goes straight north there. The board will need to make some determinations on the continued existence of a bridge in that location. Our biggest damage is on our paved road system. County roads D12, D38, D50, and D54, virtually our east-west system, has suffered some severe damage from slope failures. We've had road embankments up to 30 feet high collapse right to pavement edge, and they're standing vertically right now. At this point in time, we've determined that we can keep those roads open safely, but restricted to one lane of travel. So if you travel D38 in particular, you'll note there's a lot of places where you see the flagger head sign, and then we have the manual flagger setup, which is stop signs, please alternate. and traffic is pinched to the center of the road. Those projects, to repair those, are ineligible for FEMA funds. They're on our major collector, federal highway system routes. I have requested through Department of Transportation the freeing of emergency response money from Federal Highway Administration. I heard yesterday on the radio, but I don't have it from Federal Highway at this point. I don't have anything official from DOT, but they said that $750,000 had been freed, but that's for us, Sioux, Lyon, Plymouth, and we need $750,000
Yeah.
here. That was our preliminary estimate.
We don't know what percentage of that money we'll get though, do we?
Not at this time. It's my hope they'll release more, because we have, as of Friday, we had 34 sites identified, and that was $680,000 worth of damage because they averaged 2,000 cubic yards per site. That also only includes the dirt work. We're going to have to extend box culverts on virtually every one of those. You know, these were roads that were built in the 60s. They were designed to a little different standard. They just wanted to buy a 50-foot wide right-of-way, and whether the road was 30-foot high embankment or a 3-foot high embankment, it was made to fit within that 50, 100 feet of total right-of-way. And we're seeing the problem with that now.
Are the bridges eligible for FEMA?
Bridges are both on local roads that would be eligible for FEMA, yes. We also have 3 culverts that are closed right now. 2 of them rather large ones. Those we believe we can repair. There is no repairing the one on Morgan Trail. It's gone. There's 3 beams left, but that doesn't get me across the river.
What about all the concrete roads where the shoulders are undermining, it's gonna undermine the roads? You got a lot of that out there.
There is a lot of that out there. That's what I'm talking about on D12, D38, D50, D54. And that's where I'm applying for the emergency relief money from Federal Highway Administration.
Correctionville Road's pretty much shot, 155th is.
Correctionville Road is FEMA eligible. It's a minor collector and not on the federal aid system. So that's one that we can look at getting money for. Same with County Road L27 out of Anthem. That road runs south. We've already started repairs on these roads with our staff. We've gotten some fantastic help in that area in particular from landowners who are going to allow us to enter their property as long as we pay them for their corn crop and replace their fence. They're going to let us make the necessary repairs. When this started Father's Day, the instructions to the foreman were this could be a major event. You start tracking your expenses, your time, and what classification of work you're doing. So the foreman already have instructions in place so that we try to maximize our ability to get FEMA funds should a declaration be given. So every bit of overtime, equipment hours, whatever has been recorded, and we'll be ready to submit that amount of money, or that amount of time for money.
What's the turnaround for
You're walking into this world we call alphabet soup, and it's full of regulations, and the regulations change from event to event. So there's no answer to that question at this point. We'll do the preliminary damage assessment with FEMA, hopefully, they'll consider us. That will roll up into a full-blown presentation that will be sent to the regional director of FEMA in Kansas City. Then a recommendation goes from her to the president, staff, and then the recommendation from the president, or to the president. So it takes days, weeks, sometimes. The other thing that we know, we've got over 75 wet basements in the county, just in our county, which is not near what they have up north, but and most of that, the people have already recovered from that. We've got a few we know haven't. Huge crop losses, and Farm Service will be working through that and whether or not there's an opportunity to replant. And then just my hat's off to our team. Jim Clark served as our team lead during this event. Jim and I have made it our goal that we can co-train and we can do each other's jobs, and we can fill in for each other, and we're able to do that during this event. It's nice to have that depth in our bench so guys can get some sleep and get away and get some rest occasionally. So everything that we have put in place at the Security Institute, we've been doing it strategically. We've been following some national guidelines and standards, and it's been on target, on track, and it's worked. And I'm very proud of it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other comments from board members on
Keep up the good
that
work.
report? Appreciate it. Any other comments from board members? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Meeting's adjourned.